The silk of my wedding dress clings to my skin, cold and damp with sweat, as I stand in the grand ballroom. The air is thick with the sharp tang of red wine, a scent so potent it stings my nostrils, mingling with the clink of crystal glasses that echoes like hollow laughter. Above me, the chandelier glitters, a cascade of light that bathes the room in a golden glow, but it does nothing to warm the chill seeping into my bones. I'm Evelyn Harper, 24 years old, and tonight, I'm a bride. Not by choice, but by necessity. Grayson Pierce stands beside me, his presence a towering shadow. At 37, he's the kind of man who commands a room without effort. Sharp jawline, gray eyes cutting like steel, a frame sculpted beneath his tailored tuxedo. He's a CEO, a titan of industry, the kind of wealth that buys silence and loyalty. His lips barely move as he leans in, his breath hot against my neck, carrying a faint trace of whiskey. "You're mine," he murmurs, his voice low and gravelly, a vow that feels more like a shackle than a promise. I flinch, my hands trembling at my sides, but I don't pull away. I can't. The room buzzes with the elite, men in crisp suits, women draped in diamonds, their smiles as polished as the marble floor beneath my heels. My shoes tap against it, a faint, lonely rhythm drowned by the chatter. I'm an outsider here, a pawn in a game I didn't choose to play. This marriage isn't about love, it's a transaction. My mother's frail body lies in a hospital bed, her lungs rattling with every breath, and the ancestral home we've clung to for generations teeters on the edge of foreclosure. Grayson's money, his cold, endless fortune, is the lifeline we need. So I said yes. I had to. I glance at my mother across the room, seated in a wheelchair near the edge of the crowd. Margaret Harper, the woman who raised me alone after my father walked out, leaving us with nothing but debt and a crumbling house. Her hands are folded in her lap, thin and trembling, but her eyes, those fierce hazel eyes, meet mine with a sheen of tears. She doesn't want this for me, I know that. She'd rather lose everything than see me traded like cattle. But I can't let her lose. Not after all she's sacrificed. The memory hits me hard. Her silhouette in our tiny kitchen years ago. The flicker of an oil lamp casting shadows on her face as she wiped sweat from her brow with a rag. She'd been up all night sewing, her fingers bleeding from the needle, just to keep us fed. "We Harpers don't break," she'd said then, her voice steady despite the exhaustion. "That strength is why I'm here now, standing under this chandelier, selling my future to save hers." Grayson's hand brushes mine, a fleeting touch that sends a jolt through me. His fingers are cold, unyielding, like the steel of his empire. I pull back instinctively, but his grip tightens for a moment, just long enough to remind me who holds the power. "Smile," he says, his tone clipped, eyes scanning the room. "They're watching." I force my lips to curve, but it feels like a grimace. The guests see a blushing bride. I see a prisoner in silk. The ceremony earlier was a blur, words spoken in a cavernous hall, vows exchanged under the weight of obligation. I barely heard the priest over the pounding in my chest. Now, the reception swirls around me, a masquerade of wealth and pretense. A woman in a sapphire gown laughs too loudly nearby, her perfume cloying as it drifts over. A man with slicked back hair raises his glass to Grayson, his grin sharp as a blade. They're congratulating him, not me. I'm just the prize he's claimed. I shift my weight, the heels pinching my feet, and catch my mother's gaze again. She beckons me with a weak wave, and I excuse myself from Grayson's side. His eyes follow me, a predator tracking its prey, but he says nothing. I weave through the crowd, the rustle of my dress loud in my ears until I reach her. Her hand feels fragile in mine, the skin paper thin, and I kneel beside her wheelchair, careful not to snag the silk on its metal frame. "Evie," she whispers, her voice raspy, "you don't have to do this." Her fingers tighten around mine, a desperate plea. I swallow the lump in my throat, forcing a smile. I do, Mom, for us. She shakes her head, tears spilling now, and I reach to wipe them away. That's when I feel it. A crinkle in the pocket of her shawl. My hand slips inside, curiosity overriding caution, and I pull out a folded piece of paper, yellowed with, and my breath catches as I unfold it, the ink faded but legible. A single line scrawled in a hurried hand. "Forgive me, Margaret." No signature, no context. Just those words, heavy with regret. I look up at her, questions burning in my chest, but her eyes dart away, her lips pressing into a thin line. "Mom, what is this?" I ask, my voice trembling. She doesn't answer, only grips my hand tighter, as if anchoring herself against a storm I can't yet see. Behind me, the clink of glasses rises again, and I feel Grayson's presence before I hear him. His shadow falls over us, his cologne, a mix of cedar and smoke, cutting through the wine-scented air. "Evelyn," he says, his tone a command, wrapped in silk. I slip the letter back into her pocket, my heart racing, and stand to face him. His eyes flick to my mother, then back to me, a flicker of something, suspicion, crossing his face before it hardens again. "Time to return," he says, offering his arm. I hesitate, the weight of the letter pressing against my mind, but I take it. His sleeve brushes my skin, cool and crisp, and I suppress a shiver. As we walk back into the sea of light and laughter, I can't shake the feeling that I've just stepped into a cage, one built not just by Grayson, but by secrets I don't yet understand. The Bentley hums beneath me, its engine a low growl that vibrates through my bones as we cut through the night. Rain streaks the tinted windows, blurring the city lights into smears of gold and red. But inside, the air is heavy with the scent of leather and whiskey, a sharp, bitter edge that clings to Grayson Pierce like a second skin. He sits beside me, his silhouette rigid against the dark upholstery, one hand resting on the armrest, the other gripping mine. His fingers are ice cold, unyielding, the knuckles whitening as he squeezes just a little too hard. I don't dare pull away. "This isn't love, Evelyn," he says, his voice a low rumble, cutting through the hum of the car like a blade. "This is honor." The words land heavy, final, as if he's reciting a creed he's lived by too long. I stare at the rain-slicked glass, my reflection a ghost staring back. Wide eyes, pale cheeks, lips pressed tight to keep from trembling. Honor. That's what he calls this cage he's built around me. But for me, it's survival. My mother's survival. And that's the only reason I'm here, letting his hand anchor me to this leather seat. The reception fades into memory as the miles stretch on, the clinking glasses and hollow laughter, replaced by the steady patter of rain and the occasional squeak of wipers. My wedding dress feels heavier now, the silk damp from nerves, sticking to my thighs like a shroud. I shift, the fabric rustling, and Grayson's eyes flick to me, those gray, piercing eyes that see too much and give nothing away. "Stop fidgeting," he mutters, releasing my hand to adjust his cufflink, a glint of silver catching the dim light. I flex my fingers, the sudden freedom a small rebellion, but it does nothing to ease the knot in my chest. We pull up to his estate, a fortress of glass and stone that looms against the stormy sky, its windows glowing faintly like eyes watching our approach. The driver opens my door, and a gust of wind carries the scent of wet earth and pine, chilling my bare arms. Grayson steps out behind me, his polished shoes clicking on the driveway, and I feel his presence at my back, a wall I can't escape. He doesn't offer his arm this time, just strides ahead, expecting me to follow. I do, because what else can I do? Inside, the air shifts, cooler, sharper, laced with the faint bitterness of brewed coffee left too long on the burner. The foyer stretches wide, all marble and shadow, flanked by towering columns that lead to a grand staircase. Red velvet curtains frame the windows, heavy and oppressive, swallowing the moonlight whole. A housekeeper, silent as a wraith, takes my shawl, her eyes averted. Grayson gestures toward the stairs. "Your room's up there," he says, his tone clipped, businesslike. "Don't wander." It's not a request. I climb the steps, each, one echoing under my heels, the sound bouncing off the walls like a plea no one hears. My room, his word, not mine, waits at the end of a long hallway. The door creaks as I push it open, revealing a space that's both lavish and cold. A 4-poster bed draped in cream linens, a mahogany dresser, a single armchair by a window that overlooks nothing but darkness. The coffee scent lingers here, too, mingling with the faint musk of polished wood. It's a prison dressed in luxury, and I'm its only occupant. My suitcase sits by the bed, my mother's doing, no doubt. She'd packed it herself, her hands trembling as she folded my clothes, whispering apologies I wouldn't let her finish. I kneel beside it now, the silk of my dress pooling around me, and unzip it with shaking fingers. Shirts, a sweater, a pair of worn slippers, small pieces of home in this alien place. Then my hand brushes something hard, tucked beneath a scarf. I pull it out. A faded photograph, creased at the edges, its colors muted by time. It's my mother, younger, her hair loose and wild, smiling beside a man I don't recognize. Not my father. His face I'd know anywhere, etched into my memory from the few years he bothered to stay. This man is taller, broader, with sharp cheekbones and eyes that glint even in the grainy image. My stomach twists, a question clawing its way up my throat. Who is he? Why did she keep this? The floor creaks behind me, and I shove the photo back into the suitcase, heart hammering. Grayson stands in the doorway, his tie loosened, the top button of his shirt undone. The light from the hall casts half his face in shadow, but those eyes, those damn eyes, pin me where I kneel. "What's that?" he asks, his voice deceptively soft, a predator circling prey. I swallow, forcing my hands to steady as I close the suitcase. "Nothing," I lie, standing to face him, "just unpacking." He steps closer, the scent of whiskey stronger now, mixed with the rain still clinging to his hair. "Don't lie to me, Evelyn," he says, each word deliberate, his gaze flicking to the suitcase, then back to my face. I don't tolerate secrets. The irony burns. Secrets are what brought me here, what bind me to him. But I hold his stare, defiance flickering beneath my fear. "Then tell me why I'm really here," I shoot back, my voice trembling but sharp. "What do you need from me?" For a moment he falters, barely a flicker, a crack in the steel facade, but it's there. His jaw tightens and he steps back. The distance between us a chasm again. "Silence," he says finally, his tone flat, final. "I need your silence." He turns to leave, but pauses at the threshold, glancing over his shoulder. "Good night, Evelyn." The door clicks shut behind him, and I'm alone with the echo of his words, the weight of that photograph pressing against my mind. I sink onto the bed, the mattress too soft beneath me, and stare at the red curtains, their folds like blood against the dark silence. That's what he wants, to bury whatever truth lingers in that photo, in my mother's tears, in the debt that chained me to him. But I'm not silent, not yet. My fingers curl into the sheets, and I feel it, the first spark of something dangerous, something alive. I won't break. Not for him. Not for anyone. The ballroom glitters again tonight, a gilded cage of excess where chandeliers drip light like molten gold and the air hums with the clatter of champagne flutes. I stand at the edge of it all, my emerald gown, a gift from Grayson, clinging to me like a second skin, its silk cool against my flushed arms. The scent of perfume hangs heavy, floral and cloying, mixing with the faint tang of cigar smoke drifting from the men in their tailored suits. I'm Evelyn Harper, the new Mrs. Pierce. But to these people, I'm a curiosity, a poor girl plucked from obscurity, draped in finery I don't belong in. They watch me, their eyes sharp and hungry, whispers, slithering through the crowd like snakes. She's nothing without his money, a woman in sapphire murmurs to her companion, her laugh a brittle shard of glass. I clutch my glass of untouched wine, the stem cold between my fingers, and force my chin up. I've survived worse than their gossip, years of scraping by, of watching my mother's hands bleed over a sewing machine. But here, under their scrutiny, I feel exposed, raw, like a wound they can't wait to pick at. Grayson moves through the room like a storm, his presence parting the sea of bodies. He's all sharp edges tonight, black tuxedo crisp, gray eyes, scanning the crowd with a predator's calm. He doesn't look at me, not yet, but I feel the weight of him anyway, a tether I can't shake. I've been his wife for 3 days, and already this world suffocates me, the endless parties, the hollow smiles, the unspoken rules I'll never master. I don't belong here. I belong with her. The thought pulls me away, my heels clicking, against the marble as I slip out a side door, the cool night air a balm against my skin. I take a cab to the small apartment where my mother waits, the city blurring past in streaks of neon and shadow. The hospital let her come home yesterday. Her breathing steadier but still fragile, and I can't stay away. When I step inside, the familiar scent of jasmine tea greets me, warm and soft, a stark contrast to the cold opulence I've left behind. She's in the kitchen, hunched over the counter, a kettle whistling faintly on the stove. "Evie," she says, her voice raspy but bright, turning to me with a tired smile. Her hair is gray now, thinning, but those hazel eyes still burn with the strength that's kept us alive. I cross the room in 3 strides, taking the kettle from her trembling hands. "Let me," I say, pouring the steaming water into a chipped mug, the aroma rising like a memory of simpler days. I grab a cloth from the sink, dampen it, and gently wipe the sweat from her forehead. She leans into my touch, her skin cool and papery, and for a moment I'm not Mrs. Pierce, I'm just her daughter. "You shouldn't be here," she murmurs, her fingers brushing mine. "He'll notice." I shake my head, stubbornness flaring. I don't care. But I do care, too much, and the lie tastes bitter on my tongue. I've never wanted this life, this marriage, but I've never wanted love either. Not until now, when it feels so impossibly out of reach. The photo from my suitcase haunts me, that stranger beside her, and I want to ask, need to ask, but her fragility stops me cold. The door creaks open behind us, and I freeze, the cloth slipping from my hand. Grayson stands there, raindrops glistening, in his dark hair, his shirt clinging to his chest from the drizzle outside. The sight of him in this cramped, worn space is jarring. Too big, too polished, like a statue dropped into a ruin. His eyes lock onto me, burning with something I can't name, and my breath catches as he steps closer. "You don't belong here," he says, his voice low, rough, but his gaze lingers on the apron tied around my waist, the damp cloth at my feet. His hand twitches, then lifts, his fingers brushing my shoulder, light, trembling, a touch that sears through the silk. "And you do?" I snap, stepping back, my heart pounding against my ribs. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't answer, his hand falling to his side. My mother watches us, silent, her mug trembling in her grip. Then a new voice cuts through the tension, sharp and venomous. "Well, isn't this cozy?" Lillian steps in behind him, her red lips curled in a smirk, her blonde hair gleaming under the kitchen light. Grayson's old friend, his shadow, her presence a blade I didn't see coming. She saunters forward, heels clicking, and leans against the counter, her eyes raking over me. The perfect little wife, slumming it with Mommy Dearest. Her laugh is a dagger, and I feel my mother stiffen beside me. "Lillian," Grayson warns, his tone ice, but she ignores him, turning to me with a glint of malice. "Ask your mother about Grayson's father, Evelyn. Ask her what she was to him." The words hit like a punch, stealing the air from my lungs. I look at my mother, her face paling, her hands clutching the mug so tight I fear it'll shatter. "What's she talking about?" I whisper, my voice breaking. My mother doesn't answer, her gaze dropping to the floor, and Lillian's smirk widens. "Oh, you didn't know? Your dear Margaret wasn't always so saintly." Grayson grabs her arm, his knuckles white, but she pulls free, tossing something onto the counter, a photograph, identical to the one I found. My mother and a man with Grayson's eyes staring back at me. "Enough," Grayson growls, his voice a thunderclap, but the damage is done. I stumble back, the room spinning, my mother's silence louder than any confession. Grayson steps toward me, his hand reaching out. But I shake my head, tears burning my eyes. "Don't," I choke out, turning to my mother. "Tell me it's not true." She doesn't. She can't. The kitchen closes in, the jasmine tea now, bitter in my throat, and I feel the weight of their world, theirs and mine, crashing down. "Honor," he called it. But this feels like betrayal, and I don't know who's holding the knife. The rain drums against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Grayson's office, a relentless tattoo that mirrors the chaos in my chest. I stand in the center of this glass and steel kingdom, the scent of cedarwood and leather thick in the air, mingling with the faint bitterness of spilled whiskey. The city sprawls below, a blur of lights through the storm. But up here, it's just me and him. Grayson Pierce, my husband, my jailer, and now, maybe my betrayer. His desk looms between us, a polished slab of mahogany cluttered with papers, a crystal tumbler lying shattered on its edge. I don't care how I got here, only that I'm here, and I need answers. "Who was my mother to you?" I shout, my voice cracking like the glass at his feet, tears hot on my cheeks. The photograph Lillian flung in my face last night burns in. My mind, my mother, young and radiant, beside a man with Grayson's sharp cheekbones, his gray eyes. I'd barely slept, the image chasing me through restless dreams, and now I'm trembling, fists clenched, demanding the truth. Grayson stands behind the desk, his shirt sleeves rolled to his elbows, his jaw tight as stone. He doesn't move, doesn't blink. But those eyes, those damn piercing eyes bore into me, dark with something I can't name. "Evelyn," he starts, his voice low, controlled, but I cut him off, slamming my hands on the desk. The impact stings my palms, papers fluttering to the floor. "Don't Evelyn me. Tell me." My chest heaves, the emerald gown from last night swapped for a simple sweater and jeans, but I feel no less exposed. Lillian's words echo. "Ask her what she was to him," and my mother's silence cuts deeper than any blade. I need him to speak, to fill the void she left. He exhales, sharp and ragged, and runs a hand through his dark hair, raindrops still clinging to the strands from his dash through the storm to meet me here. "I don't know everything," he says finally, his tone fracturing at the edges. "My father, he loved her, Evelyn, and I promised him I'd protect you." The words hit like a fist, knocking the air from my lungs. Loved her? My mother, Margaret Harper, the woman who stitched our lives together with bleeding fingers, tangled with the Pierce family. It's unthinkable, yet the photograph makes it real. Loved her? I choke out, stepping closer, my voice rising. What does that even mean? Did he ruin her? Did he ruin us? My father's face flashes in my mind. His thin smile, his quick exit when I was 6, leaving us with nothing but debt and a crumbling house. Was that because of Grayson's father? I search Grayson's face for lies, for guilt, but all I see is a flicker of pain, raw and unguarded, before he slams it shut again. He rounds the desk, his movements sharp, and I flinch as he stops inches from me. The air crackles between us, charged with rain and fury. "I don't know," he snaps, his breath hot against my face, whiskey sharp on his tongue. He never told me the whole story, just that he owed her, and when he died that debt fell to me. His hand lifts, hovering near my cheek, and then it's there. His fingers tracing my jaw, slow and searing. A touch that sends fire through my veins despite everything. My heart stumbles, caught between rage and something darker, something I've never felt before. I should pull away. I should hate him. But I don't. I lean into it, just for a second, my eyes locked on his, and I see it. The crack in his armor. The man beneath the titan. His thumb brushes my lips, trembling, and I taste salt. My tears, or maybe his regret. "I was supposed to keep you safe," he whispers, his voice breaking now, "not trap you." His other hand grips my arm, firm but desperate, and I feel the heat of him through my sweater, the pulse of his need matching mine. "Then why this?" I ask, my voice a ragged plea, stepping closer until our chests nearly touch. "Why the marriage? Why me?" His grip tightens, his breath hitching, and for a moment, I think he'll kiss me. Those gray eyes darken, his lips part, but he stops, his hand falling away like I've burned him. He turns, slamming his fist into the desk, the sound a thunderclap that shatters the silence. The tumblers' remains scatter further, glinting in the dim light. "Because I had no choice," he growls, his back to me, shoulders heaving. "He made me swear it, on his deathbed, to pay the debt, to keep you from falling like she did." I stumble back, my mind reeling. A debt, a promise. My mother's life tied to his father's, and now mine to his. I want to scream, to claw, at the truth, but it's slipping through my fingers like the rain outside. I move without thinking, crossing to a filing cabinet in the corner, my hands shaking as I yank open a drawer. Papers spill out, contracts, letters, and there it is, buried beneath the mess, a yellowed document, the Pierce family crest stamped at the top. My eyes scan it, words blurring through tears. Repayment of debt incurred by Margaret Harper. Evelyn Harper to be secured. It's dated 10 years ago, signed by Grayson's father and countersigned by him. My stomach lurches. This isn't just a marriage. It's a transaction, written in ink and sealed with my life. I turn, the paper crumpling in my fist, and he's watching me now. His face pale, his hands braced on the desk. "You knew," I whisper. The betrayal, slicing deeper than I thought possible. "You knew all along." He doesn't deny it, doesn't move, just stares as the rain beats harder, a wall of sound closing us in. I drop the contract, my knees weak, and the room spins. Cedarwood, whiskey, and the bitter taste of a truth I can't unlearn. The hospital corridor smells of antiseptic and fear, a sterile tang that burns my throat as I run, my sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows, but all I see is my mother's face. Pale, fragile, her hazel eyes wide with pain in my mind's eye. She's had a heart attack, the doctor's voice crackling through the phone an hour ago, and now the world is collapsing under me. My chest aches, not from the sprint, but from the weight of last night. Grayson's confession, the crumpled contract, the photograph of my mother with his father. I thought betrayal was the worst thing I'd face today. I was wrong. The city outside is a frenzy, flashbulbs popping like gunfire as reporters swarm the hospital entrance. I'd push through them, their shouts clawing at me. "Mrs. Pierce, is it true your mother broke the Pierce family?" Their cameras blinding, relentless. Lillian's doing, I'm sure of it. She'd stood in my mother's kitchen 3 nights ago, tossing that photo like a grenade, and now the shrapnel is everywhere. Headlines scream across my phone screen. Harper woman linked to Pierce scandal. My mother's name, her pain, splayed for the world to devour. I choke on a sob, shoving the phone into my pocket as I reach her room. She lies in a narrow bed, tubes snaking from her arms, the beep of a monitor slicing the silence. Her chest rises and falls, shallow but steady, and I collapse into the chair beside her, my hands trembling as I clutch hers. Her skin is cold, paper thin, but her fingers twitch faintly under mine. "Mom," I whisper, tears spilling hot down my cheeks. "I'm here. I'm so sorry. Sorry for the marriage, for the secrets, for not protecting her from this." The photo haunts me. Her smile beside Grayson's father, a love that broke something, maybe everything. I need to know, but not now. Now, I just need her to breathe. The door swings open and I stiffen, expecting a nurse. But it's Grayson, his suit jacket gone, shirt clinging to him with sweat and rain. His face is haggard, gray eyes wild with something I've never seen, fear, raw and unguarded. He crosses the room in 3 strides, dropping to his knees beside me, his hands gripping the bed's edge. "Evelyn," he says, his voice rough, breaking. "I didn't know it had come to this." His knuckles whiten, and I see it. The guilt, etched into every line of him. The man beneath the Titan crumbling under the weight of his own empire. "Didn't know?" I hiss, my voice low to keep from waking her, but venomous. "You knew about the debt, the contract, everything. And now this?" I gesture vaguely toward the window, where the reporter's shouts filter through, a dull roar. "Lillian's tearing her apart. And you let it happen." My tears fall faster, blurring his face, but I don't wipe them away. Let him see me break. Let him feel it. He bows his head, his forehead nearly touching the bed, and for a moment, I think he's praying. "I was wrong," he murmurs, so soft I barely hear it over the monitor's beep. "I thought I could control it, keep you safe, keep the past buried. I didn't know about her. About them." His eyes lift to mine, glistening, and I realize he's not talking about the contract anymore. He's talking about the photo, the love story that shattered 2 families. My breath catches, a question forming, but he shakes his head, silencing it. "I swear, Evelyn, I didn't know the whole truth." I want to scream, to shove him away, but I'm frozen, pinned by the desperation in his gaze. Then it happens. His hand finds mine, warm and rough, pulling me toward him. I resist, but he's stronger, and suddenly I'm against him, his arms crushing me to his chest. His heart pounds under my cheek, a frantic rhythm, and I taste salt on my lips, my tears, his sweat, the rain still clinging to him. "I'm sorry," he whispers into my hair, his voice cracking, and something inside me splinters. I pull back, just enough to see his face, and the world narrows to this, his eyes dark with regret, his lips trembling with words he can't find. I don't know who moves first, but my hands are on his face, his stubble rough under my palms, and then his mouth is on mine. It's not gentle. It's fire, desperate and consuming. A kiss that tastes of tears and whiskey, and need. His fingers dig into my waist, anchoring me, and I kiss him back, hard, pouring every ounce of pain and longing into it. It's my first kiss, my first surrender, and it burns through me like a storm. We break apart, gasping, and I see the shock in his eyes, mirroring mine. "Evelyn," he starts, but I shake my head, pressing a finger to his lips. "Don't," I say, my voice raw. "Not now." Because I hate him, I think. I should. But I don't. I need him, here in this sterile room with my mother's life hanging by a thread, and that scares me more than any scandal. A faint cough pulls me back, and I turn, heart leaping. My mother's eyes flutter open, hazy, but alive. "Evie," she rasps, her voice barely a whisper, and I'm at her side in an instant, clutching her hand. "I'm here," I say, tears falling anew. She looks past me to Grayson, and something passes between them. Grief, maybe, or forgiveness. "It wasn't his fault," she murmurs, her words slurring, and my blood runs cold. "Not all of it." "What?" I choke out, but her eyes close again, her breathing steadying. I turn to Grayson, my voice trembling. "What does she mean?" He doesn't answer, just stares at her, his face a mask of anguish. Outside, the flashbulbs flare again, a reminder of the world waiting to tear us apart. But in here, with her hand in mine and his beside me, I feel it. A spark of something stronger than secrets, something that might just save us all. The rain comes down in sheets, a roaring curtain that drenches me to the bone as I stand in the driveway of Grayson's estate. My sweater clings to my skin, heavy and sodden, my hair plastered to my face in dark, dripping strands. Thunder rumbles overhead, a low growl that shakes the ground, but it's nothing compared to the storm inside me. "I've just come from the hospital," my mother's words. It wasn't his fault, ringing in my ears like a taunt. I don't know what she meant, but I know who started this fire. Lillian. And now, here she is, stepping out of her sleek black car, her umbrella useless against the downpour, her smirk sharp as ever. "You can't stop this, Evelyn," she calls over the rain, her voice cutting through the deluge, her heels sinking into the gravel as she strides toward me. "The world knows your mother's a homewrecker, my gift to the Pierce legacy." Lightning flashes, illuminating her face, red lips, cold eyes, a predator savoring the kill. The photo she leaked, the headlines, my mother's collapse. It's all her, and I hate her for it, a hatred so fierce it burns through the chill soaking my skin. I step forward, fists clenched, water streaming down my arms. "You don't get to destroy my family," I shout, my voice raw, breaking against the wind. The rain stings my eyes, but I don't blink, don't back down. She laughs, a sound like breaking glass, and tosses her wet hair back. "Family? Oh, darling, you're just collateral damage. Grayson's the one I want to bleed." Her words twist the knife deeper. Grayson, my husband, the man I kissed in that hospital room, caught in her crosshairs because of me. The front door slams open behind me, and Grayson storms out, his shirt untucked, rain plastering it to his chest in seconds. "Lillian, get out," he growls, his voice a thunderclap, his gray eyes flashing with fury. He grabs an umbrella from the porch, holding it over me, but I shove it away, the metal clattering, to the ground. "No," I snap, turning on him, water dripping from my chin. "You don't get to play savior now. You let this happen." My accusation hangs between us, heavy as the storm, and his face tightens, guilt flickering in those eyes I've started to need. Lillian steps closer, undeterred, her smirk widening. "Oh, he didn't just let it happen, Evelyn. He paid for it. Every cent of your mother's debt, every lie to keep you quiet." She's baiting me, and it works. I lunge at her, but Grayson catches me, his arms locking around my waist, pulling me back against his chest. His heat seeps through my soaked clothes, his breath ragged against my ear. "Stop," he murmurs, low and desperate, but I thrash against him, tears mixing with the rain. "Let me go," I scream, my nails digging into his forearms. She laughs again, turning to leave, but Grayson's voice stops her cold. "Enough," he says, releasing me to face her, his shoulders squared against the downpour. "You want to ruin me? Fine, but you don't touch them." He pulls his phone from his pocket, water beating on the screen, and dials with trembling fingers. "I'm calling a press conference," he says, his voice steady now, resolute. "I'll tell them everything. My father's affair, the debt, the contract. I'll take the fall. You're done, Lillian. My heart stutters, the rain roaring, louder as I process his words. He's sacrificing it all, his name, his empire, to shield us. Lillian's smirk falters, her eyes narrowing, but she doesn't argue, just spins on her heel and stalks back to her car. The engine revs, tires, spitting gravel, and she's gone, swallowed by the storm. I turn to Grayson, my breath hitching, water streaming down my face. Why? I whisper, barely audible over the rain. He steps closer, his shirt clinging to every line of him, his hair dark and wild. Because I need you to live, he says, his voice breaking, raw with something deeper than guilt. His hands find my face, rough and warm, tilting my chin up, and I see it. The man I kissed, the man I hate, the man I'm starting to love, all crashing together in those gray eyes. I can't lose you, he adds, and before I can speak, his lips crash into mine. It's a kiss born of the storm, fierce, desperate, tasting of rain and salt and him. His fingers dig into my hair, pulling me closer, and I clutch his shirt, the wet fabric bunching under my hands. My body presses against his, heat against heat, and I kiss him back with everything I have, anger, fear, need, all spilling out in a collision that drowns the world. His tongue brushes mine, a spark that ignites me, and I moan into his mouth, lost in the fire of it. We're soaked, shivering, but this is alive. He pulls back, gasping, his forehead resting against mine, water dripping from his lashes. Evelyn, he breathes, his hands sliding to my waist, holding me like I might vanish. I grip his arms, my nails leaving marks, and I feel it. The shift, the breaking of something old, the birth of something new. I need you too, I say, my voice trembling but sure, the rain washing away the last of my doubts. His eyes widen, a flicker of hope breaking through the storm in them, and he pulls me into his chest, his arms a fortress against the chaos. The rain slows, a steady patter now, and I hear his heart pounding under my ear, a rhythm that steadies me. Lillian's gone, the press will come, and my mother's secrets still linger. But here, in his embrace, I feel a strength I didn't know I had. Honor, he called it once. But this is more. This is us, fighting through the wreckage, and I won't let it go. The rain has stopped, leaving behind a quiet that hums in my ears as I step into the cramped apartment. The scent of damp wood and brewing coffee wrapping around me like a familiar embrace. My sweater still clings to me, heavy with the memory of the storm, but I barely notice. Grayson follows close behind, his presence a steady warmth at my back, his soaked shirt outlining every muscle as he shuts the door with a soft click. Hospital released my mother this morning. Stable, breathing, alive. And now she's here, home, where I can protect her, where we can start to heal. The living room is small, worn, but ours. The faded floral couch sagging under years of use. A fire crackles in the hearth, casting flickering shadows across the walls, the scent of burning logs mingling with the coffee I set to brew on the counter. My mother sits in her armchair, a quilt draped over her lap, her hands resting lightly on the fabric. She looks frail, her gray hair loose, but her hazel eyes lift to me with a strength that steadies my shaking hands. "Evie," she says, her voice soft but clear, a lifeline pulling me back from the edge. I cross to her, kneeling beside the chair, and take the damp cloth from the table. "Let me," I murmur, wiping the faint sheen of sweat from her forehead, her skin cool under my touch. She leans into it, a faint smile tugging at her lips, and I feel the weight of yesterday, the hospital, the flashbulbs, Grayson's kiss, settle into something softer. something I can hold. "You shouldn't fuss," she says, but her hand finds mine, squeezing gently, and I know she's glad I'm here. Grayson lingers near the doorway, his boots leaving wet prints on the hardwood, his gray eyes scanning the room like he's trespassing. I glance at him, my heart catching at the sight. His hair still damp, curling at the ends, his shirt unbuttoned at the collar, revealing the pulse beating fast at his throat. He looks out of place, a titan in this humble space. But he doesn't leave. "Sit," I say, nodding to the couch, my voice steady despite the flutter in my chest. He hesitates, then lowers himself onto it, the springs creaking under his weight. I pour the coffee, the rich, dark aroma rising as I fill 2 chipped mugs, and hand one to him. His fingers brush mine, warm and rough, lingering just a moment too, long, and I feel that spark again, the one from the rain from the hospital, a current that hums beneath my skin. He takes a sip, his eyes never leaving me, and I settle beside my mother, the mug warming my hands. "Tell me," I say, my voice low, turning to her, "what you meant in the hospital, about it not being his fault." She sighs, a sound heavy, with years and glances at Grayson. He stiffens, his grip tightening on the mug, but he doesn't interrupt. "Your father, Grayson's father, William, he wasn't a bad man," she begins, her words slow, deliberate. "He loved me, Evie, more than he should have, but he was married and I couldn't stay." Her voice cracks, and I see the girl from the photo, wild-haired, smiling, fading into the woman before me. "When I left him, he tried to help. Us sent money, but your dad, Tom, found out. He left because of me, not William." The air shifts, heavy with her confession, and I feel Grayson's gaze on me, intense, waiting. "He didn't ruin us," I whisper, piecing it together, my throat tight. "You did." She shakes her head, tears glistening. "No, Evie. I chose you over him, over everything. William wanted to fix it, but he got sick, and then—" She trails off, looking at Grayson, and I see it. The guilt they both carry, a shared burden passed down to us. Grayson sets his mug down, the clink loud in the quiet, and leans forward, elbows on his knees. "He made me promise," he says, his voice rough, raw. "On his deathbed, to pay the debt, to keep you safe." I didn't know about her, about them, until Lillian dug it up. I thought I was honoring him. His eyes meet mine, dark with regret, and I feel the crack in him widen, the man beneath the armor bared to me. "I was wrong," he adds, softer now. "And I've spent every day since trying to fix it." I swallow, the coffee bitter on my tongue, and look at my mother. She reaches for Grayson's hand, her fingers trembling but firm, and he takes it, his knuckles whitening. "You did," she says, her voice steady. "You saved us, in your way." The fire pops, a spark leaping into the air, and I see it, the bridge between them, fragile but real, built on a past I can't change. I stand, moving to the hearth, the heat warming my legs, and Grayson follows, his shadow falling over me. "I'm selling the estate," he says quietly, his breath stirring my hair. "The money's going to her care, to this place. I'm done with it, all of it." His hand finds mine, his fingers sliding slow and deliberate over my knuckles, a touch that sends a shiver up my spine. "I'm giving it up for you," he murmurs, his voice a vow, and I turn, meeting his gaze, gray, burning, alive. My hand lifts, tracing the line of his jaw, stubble rough under my fingertips, and I feel the shift, anger fading, love rising. "I forgive you," I say, the words heavy but true, and his eyes close, a breath shuddering out of him. He pulls me close, his arms wrapping around me, and I rest my head against his chest, the steady thud of his heart a rhythm I could live. I love you, he whispers, so soft I almost miss it, and the firelight dances around us, a quiet promise of something new. The sun creeps over the horizon, painting the old shingles of our ancestral home in hues of gold and pink, a quiet promise after days of storm. I stand on the porch, the wood creaking beneath my bare feet, the air crisp with the scent of wet grass and cedar from Grayson's jacket draped over my shoulders. It's heavy, warm, still carrying the faint musk of him, wood smoke and rain. And I pull it tighter, my breath fogging in the early chill. Inside, my mother sleeps, her chest rising steady now, the hospital of fading memory. We're home, all of us. And for the first time, it feels like a victory. The screen door squeaks behind me, and Grayson steps out, his hair tousled from sleep, his shirt wrinkled but open at the collar. He sold the estate, true to his word, every dollar funneled into her care, into this house, stripping away the last of his gilded cage. He looks lighter for it, the lines around his gray eyes softer, though they still burn when they meet mine. Morning, he says, his voice low, rough with the remnants of last night's coffee and confessions. He holds 2 mugs, steam curling, from them, and hands me one, his fingers brushing mine. A touch that lingers, steady, grounding. I take a sip, the warmth spreading through me, and lean against the railing beside him. The coffee's strong, dark, the way we both like it, a small thread tying us to that night by the hearth. She's better, I say, nodding toward the house, my voice soft but sure. Stronger every day. He nods, his gaze drifting to the yard where dew glints on the grass like scattered diamonds. She's a fighter, he murmurs, and I hear the echo of my mother's words. We Harpers don't break, mingling with his own resolve. We stand in silence for a moment, the world waking around us, birds chirping, a distant car rumbling down the road. The press has quieted, Lillian's venom spent after Grayson's confession aired live 2 days ago. He'd stood before the cameras, rain-soaked and unyielding, laying bare his father's affair, the debt, the contract, everything to shield us. The headlines shifted overnight. Pierce heir sacrifices all for love. I'd watched, heart in my throat, as he burned his empire to ash for me, for her, and I knew then what I'd only felt before. He was mine, not by force, but by choice. You didn't have to do it, I say now, turning to him, my mug warm against my palms. Give it all up. His eyes flick to me, sharp and searching, and he sets his coffee on the railing, stepping closer. Yes, I did, he says, his voice firm, unwavering. It was never mine. Not really. It was his, built on lies I couldn't carry anymore. His hand lifts, cupping my cheek, his thumb tracing the curve of my jaw, and I feel it, the heat of him, the truth in his touch. I belong to you, he whispers, his breath stirring my hair, and my chest tightens, a knot of fear and hope unraveling at once. I set my mug down, my hands finding his chest, the steady thud of his heart beneath my fingers. Forever? I ask, my voice trembling, not with doubt but with the weight of it. This love, this life we're building from the wreckage. His eyes soften, a smile tugging at his lips, rare and real. Forever, he says, and he leans in, his mouth brushing. Mine. A kiss gentle this time, not the fire of the rain, but the glow of dawn, a promise sealed in the quiet between us. His lips are warm, tasting of coffee and him, and I melt into it, my arms sliding around his neck, holding him close. The door creaks again, and we pull apart, my cheeks flushing as my mother steps onto the porch. She's wrapped in a shawl. Her step slow but steady, and she smiles, a small, knowing curve that lights her face. Morning, you two, she says, her voice stronger now, carrying the resilience I've always known. Grayson moves to help her, but she waves him off, easing into a rocking chair with a grace that defies her frailty. "I'm fine," she insists, her eyes twinkling as they shift between us. Better than fine, seeing this. I sit beside her, taking her hand, and Grayson settles on the steps, his back to us, gazing out at the sunrise. "You saved us," I say to her, squeezing her fingers, the calluses from years of sewing rough against my skin. She shakes her head, her gaze settling on Grayson. "No, Evie. He did, in his way. And you saved yourself." Her words sink in, heavy with truth, and I see it. The girl who stood under that chandelier, trembling and trapped, now standing here, free because I chose to fight, to forgive, to love. Grayson turns, catching my eye, and I feel the pull between us, a thread stronger than debt or scandal, woven through every touch, every word. My mother pats my hand, then his, a silent blessing, and says, "You're good for each other." Her voice is soft, but it carries the weight of years, of pain. "Turn to peace." He nods, his throat working as he swallows, and I know he feels it too. The redemption we've carved out, not just for us, but for her, for them. The sun climbs higher, warming the porch, and I lean into Grayson, his arm slipping around me, his breath steady against my temple. The house stands behind us, weathered but whole, a testament to what we've kept, what we've built. Honor. I'd thought it was once, a cold, hollow thing. But this is honor, real and alive in the family we've reclaimed, the love we've found. "Forever," I whisper again, and he presses a kiss to my hair, his voice a murmur against my skin. Mine forever. And as the dawn breaks fully, I know it's true. Not a cage, but a home. Ours, everlasting. Thank you for joining Evelyn and Grayson on their journey through storms and secrets to find love and redemption in beneath the dim lights. If their story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of family, forgiveness, and second chances, please give this video a thumbs up to let us know. Your support means the world to us, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more heartfelt stories that celebrate the strength of the human spirit. Share this with someone who needs a little light in their day, and let's keep the warmth of these moments alive together. See you in the next chapter.